Jacob Zuma wasn't just stepping into the presidency, he was stepping onto a battlefield. May 9, 2009 marked the day Zuma claimed South Africa's highest office, but the road to that stage had left deep scars on the nation and his party. Behind the applause were whispers of betrayal, rivalries that ran deep, and promises Zuma would soon regret making. That night, Zuma gathered his allies, not to celebrate, but to negotiate. Promises made during his rise to power demanded repayment. But Zuma knew one thing: loyalty is fleeting, and power is never shared.
Thought Odyssey presents Jacob Zuma, Chronicles of Power and Influence, a story of ambition, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of power. Loved, loathed, legendary. Join us as we explore the dynamics of his rise to power, his ascent to becoming the first citizen of South Africa, the palace intrigues of his reign as ANC president, and the historic fallout that some argue led to the ANC losing its majority. Is he a hero of the poor and marginalized, or one of the most corrupt leaders of post-democratic South Africa? We delve into the political history. You decide.
The coalition that propelled Jacob Zuma to power was, in many ways, a paradox. While it was undeniably effective in dethroning Thabo Mbeki and elevating Zuma to the presidency, it was held together by fragile threads, conflicting interests, ideological divides, and a series of promises that would soon demand repayment.
To unseat Thabo Mbeki, Zuma had to forge alliances with unlikely partners, each with their own agenda. The unions, the communists, the centrists, and the opportunists all believed they had a stake in Zuma's victory. They believed he owed them. But Zuma's true genius lay in his ability to play his cards close to his chest. Even as he made promises to his coalition, he never fully revealed his plans. This became glaringly evident on the night of his inauguration.
On May 9, 2009, as the nation celebrated Zuma's inauguration, a select group of ministers and political heavyweights were summoned to the presidential guest house in Pretoria. The room was filled with anticipation and tension. By midnight, the drama began.
One by one, key players were escorted into a private room. There, their political fates were decided by Zuma, Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe, and Secretary-General Gwed Mantashe. Those who were appointed were swiftly moved to a separate room to ensure their reactions, whether joy or disappointment, remained hidden from their colleagues.
Zuma's approach was methodical. He understood the stakes. A leak to the media or visible discontent among his allies could unravel the coalition before his presidency even began.
To accommodate the many promises made during his rise to power, Zuma expanded the cabinet dramatically. Where Mbeki had presided over 29 ministers, Zuma increased the number to 35, creating 6 entirely new ministries.
Basic education and higher education, split from the previous education ministry. National planning and performance monitoring and evaluation, housed directly within the presidency. Women, children, and people with disabilities. Tourism, separated from environmental affairs. Economic development, created to reflect the priorities of his coalition partners.
But Zuma didn't stop there. He also increased the number of deputy ministers from 18 to 32, strategically distributing these positions to maintain balance among his diverse allies. This wasn't just about appeasement, it was about control.
Zuma's government wasn't just larger, it was rebranded. Ministries were renamed to reflect a new era. Foreign affairs became international relations and cooperation. Housing was renamed human settlements. Intelligence became state security. Defense now included military veterans. These changes weren't just cosmetic. They signaled a break from Mbeki's presidency, designed to project transformation and modernity. But beneath the surface, tensions were brewing. When Jacob Zuma became South Africa's president, his supporters believed he was the one to rewrite history. They thought he'd break away from the old neoliberal ways and lead the country into a new socialist era. COSATU and the South African Communist Party, SACP, were especially excited. They weren't just backing Zuma, they were betting everything on him.
They had big plans. The SACP, for example, wanted to create a powerful state council under Zuma's administration, a kind of super body that would shape policy and give them serious influence. They even dreamed up the Ministry of National Planning, a watchdog over government performance, and they expected to control it. In short, they thought they'd run the show behind the scenes.
But the night of Zuma's inauguration, a massive letdown. Zuma wasn't about to be anyone's puppet. The state council idea, scrapped. Sure, the Ministry of National Planning was created, but instead of giving it to a socialist, Zuma handed it to Trevor Manuel, a neoliberal who the SACP could not stand.
It didn't stop there. Blade Nzimande, the leader of the SACP, didn't fare much better. He was thrown the Ministry of Higher Education, a move many saw as a way to sideline him. And for anyone hoping for a socialist finance minister, tough luck. Zuma went with Pravin Gordhan, a known neoliberal.
But Zuma wasn't just alienating the left. He was playing everyone, balancing factions to keep all the power for himself. To keep the SACP somewhat happy, they got the Ministry of Trade and Industry. COSATU? They got the new Ministry of Economic Development. The ANC Youth League? Zuma gave people like Fikile Mbalula deputy minister positions to keep them on side. Even centrists from the Mbeki era, like Lindiwe Sisulu and Jeff Radebe, stayed in the cabinet.
It was a mixed bag. Everyone got something, but no one got enough to challenge Zuma's control. And just like that, it became clear. In this new administration, Zuma was the only one calling the shots.
So, with his cabinet in place, Zuma kicked off his presidency. For a while, it seemed like he was untouchable. But the alliances that brought him to power, they wouldn't last. By the time Zuma ran for a second term as ANC president, everything was falling apart. COSATU was openly against him, the SACP was frustrated, and even the ANC Youth League, his biggest cheerleaders, had turned on him.
What went wrong? How did Zuma go from hero to outcast in his own alliance? In the next episode, we'll dig into the drama, the betrayals, and the power struggles that tore Zuma's coalition apart. Don't miss it.